Good evening. I'm Rhonda at Carnivore Leo, bringing you news you can use from the community. Normally, I would cover carnivore-related topics, but since I don't have any carnivore news to report, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about the origins of April Fool's Day, which occurs annually on this day. If you were to scan your favorite newspapers or news websites on this April 1st, chances are you'll see some headlines that look suspicious. Read further, and you'll probably find that some of those stories are complete hoaxes. After all, it's April Fool's Day. I remember back in 1996 when Taco Bell announced it had agreed to purchase Philadelphia's Liberty Bell and intended to rename it Taco Liberty Bell. I totally fell for that. April Fool's Day has been celebrated for several centuries by different cultures, but the exact origins of April Fool's Day remain a mystery. Some historians speculate that April Fool's Day dates back to 1582, when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as called for by the Council of Trent in 1563. In the Julian calendar, as in the Hindu calendar, the new year began with the spring equinox around April 1st. People who failed to recognize that the start of the new year had moved to January 1st and continued to celebrate it during the last week of March through April 1st became the target of jokes and hoaxes and were called April Fools. Historians have also linked April Fool's Day to festivals such as Hilaria, and that's Latin for joyful, which was celebrated in ancient Rome at the end of March by followers of the cult of Cybele. This festival involved people dressing up in disguises and mocking fellow citizens and even magistrates, and was said to be inspired by the Egyptian legend of Isis, Osiris, and Seth. There's also speculation that April Fool's Day was tied to the vernal equinox, or the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere, when Mother Nature fooled people with changing, unpredictable weather. Another common theory placing the origin of April Fool's Day in the Roman Empire dates it to the reign of Emperor Constantine. According to this story, a group of fools or jesters convinced Constantine to make one of them king for a day. Constantine obliged, and one of the jesters, named Kugel, was appointed to the position. He decreed that it would be a day of jollity, and thus created what came to be called April Fool's Day. The only problem with that story is that it's a hoax. As this news story reveals, it was itself an April Fool's Day prank pulled by a Boston University professor, Joseph Boskin, on Associated Press reporter Fred Bayless in 1983. Bayless reported and ran the story only to retract it some days later. This is a good object lesson. Do not take as fact everything you read about April Fool's Day. But don't worry, you can totally trust me, Carnivore Leo. More information on this topic can be found at history.com. Thank you for watching News You Can Use from the Community. Good night.